Me, Stu, here for you, and we are back. We are back for a special presentation where I'm going to be sharing with you how to transition from one-on-one to transitioning to a membership site where you have scalability. So I don't know where you are watching and listening from, but here's what I can tell you. There is a whole lot of chaos happening in the marketplace right now, right? And rightfully so, because business owners worldwide are now at home in the trenches, if you will, with little kiddos running left, right, and center, dogs running. You'll hear my dog at some point, I'm sure. But point of the matter is that business has changed, right? Business has fundamentally changed right now. And here's what I can tell you. For many people, this change was inevitable. All the coronavirus has done is just speed up the point in which we need and realize that we have to make a change. And so what I want to talk to you about here today is how to transition from one-on-one work to being able to serve a whole lot more people in a much more scalable way. Now, this comes up all the time. It came up in my business back in the day. This is going to date me a little bit, but from starting in 2005, I had a very successful business. And it was a business where it was small and nimble, but I served clients. And it was a multiple six-figure a year membership, and it provided for my wife and I in a very comfortable way. However, there was a moment in time when I realized that things had to change. And it was because my wife and I, we got married in 2007, or 2000, sorry, we got married in 2007. And we were about a year into the marriage. And I realized, because we were starting to have conversations about starting our family. And I realized that something was going to need to change. Because if I wanted to show up and be the kind of husband that I wanted to be and knew I could be, if I wanted to show up and be the kind of father that I knew I could be and wanted to be, I was going to have to make a change, because the problem with the business that I had was that I was working from early in the morning till late at night, all based around my clients' schedules. So I had a great business. It was highly profitable. It was just me managing affiliate programs for these high-profile clients, and it was awesome. But it wasn't, because their calendars basically dictated my calendars. When it was time for them to do promotions, that meant it was time for me to do promotions. And when they were doing promotions and clients were doing them simultaneously, it meant that I was burning the candle at both ends. And so something had to change. And that's, my friend, when I started looking into membership sites way back then. It was actually a mentor of mine, because I was asking him and talking to him. And I said, what do I do in this scenario? I love what I get to do, and I love the clients I get to work with, but I can't keep doing this. And the only way that I can grow my business is to give more time, and I have no more time to give. So how do I do this? How do I scale? How do I grow? And he said to me then, he said, Stu, this is where you need to roll out a membership site. And at the time, I had no idea what a membership site was, but I started looking into it, and then the technology is nowhere near what it is today. But anyways, I started looking into it, and I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. It was like I was into server settings and HT access files and things that are way over my head. And I was moaning and groaning to a friend of mine about this whole scenario. And I said to him, it was my friend Tracy, and I said, dude, all I want to be able to do is I just want to be able to deliver content. And he said, well, it sounds like you're pretty clear on what it is you want in a membership platform. Why don't you just create it? I said, dude, are you hearing what I am saying? I'm struggling with the technology. And then again, this is back in 2008, it's a totally different era now, because there are so many incredible solutions now that make this so much easier. But back then it was difficult. And I said, dude, I did you not hear what I said? I'm struggling with the tech. I can't even wrap my head around creating my own. I'm not a programmer. So ultimately we came together. We came together because he said, look, Stu, I have a programmer that's working with me. He's awesome. Why don't we team up and create a solution? And ultimately we did. And that solution became Wishlist Member. and it went on to become the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress. But the whole reason that I was driven in the first place to start a membership site was because I was in a business model that did not allow me to grow and scale. I was working one-on-one with clients, and it was an awesome business, but it could not scale beyond a certain point because the only way it could scale is if I gave more time, and I had no more time to give. Now, I know I'm not the only one. Clint Salter is another great example. Clint, he is a consultant and coach for dance studio owners. So it's a pretty narrow niche, right? Like pretty narrow niche, but he was in the same cycle that I was in, where he spent a ton of his time looking for, finding, selling, and coaching these clients. And the only way to grow was to add more clients. And at one point, he had 140 coaching clients at the same time. Can you imagine? Like having 140 coaching clients that you're working with one-on-one at the same time? Well, inevitably, he got burnt out. He came to the same point where he knew he had to make a change. And part of that is because you realize, number one, we create a business to be able to provide for ourselves and our families, to be able to serve. And we can't do that at the highest level if we are burnt out, right? So Clint made a change to a membership model, completely transformed his business and his life, and more importantly, transformed the number of people that he's now able to serve. He serves thousands and thousands of dance studio owners because he shifted the model, transitioned from one-on-one to a membership. Anna Runyon is another great example. So Anna, she helps women make a transition where they can transition from a job or career that doesn't light them up into a job, career, or business that absolutely lights them up. Now, she started this as a consultant where she was working one-on-one. And in fact, she got so busy and she was getting so many requests, she ran into the exact same problem. Now, time out. Isn't that ironic that like the more successful you become as a consultant or as a coach, the more pressure it creates for you in the business? Because you don't want to have to say no to people, but at the same time, how do you serve people at the highest level if you're burnt out? So she made the transition to not just one membership, she now has 2 memberships. And completely transformed, again, not only her business, but the way in which she works with her audience and helps them grow and scale. And so the question becomes like, how do you begin transitioning from one-on-one work to a membership site? Well, here's what I want to tell you. Before we get into making that transition, I want you to understand one fundamental truth about membership sites. And this is a truth that I have learned from literally working with tens of thousands of membership site owners in all kinds of different markets. And the truth is this: it does not matter what market. The #1 reason that people cancel from any membership site is not because the content is not good. It's not because of necessarily time. It's not because of money. The #1 reason that people cancel from a membership site is because of overwhelm. Overwhelm, which means that the mistake a lot of membership site owners make is they think, and it's a natural instinct for any content creator, is that you think the more content you provide, the more valuable the membership becomes. But the truth of the matter is that that's just not true. The reason is because people get overwhelmed by so much content. And when they get overwhelmed, or the seed of overwhelm is planted, it's a matter of time before they cancel. So the reason I share that with you is because to understand what makes a membership site successful, we have to understand why people join in the first place. Now, there are a variety of different types of membership sites, and that's another lesson for another day. But fundamentally, in general, for most information-based memberships, the reason people are joining is because they want to make progress in some area of their life, right? They are here and they want to get to there because they want to make some progress. They want to make progress in some area of their life. They are not a good artist whatsoever, and they want to become a great artist. They don't know how to play the guitar. They want to learn how to play the guitar well. They don't know how to generate traffic in their business. They want to be able to generate a lot of traffic in their business. They have a dog that doesn't listen to them. They want a dog that is well trained. You see where I'm going with this? It's the difference between where they are and where they want to be. So there's some kind of progress that they want to make in their life. The reason that's important is because when it comes to people signing up for a membership site, what they want is they want the simplicity of knowing their next step. Just tell me what to do. They want you to sift and sort through all of the chaos and zero in on the few things that they need to focus on right now. So let me give you an example. Right now, we're in this period of time where we have all been, or not all, but most of us have been quarantined, right? And so I saw a tweet on Twitter the other day that absolutely made me laugh out loud because I could totally relate to this. The tweet was from this gentleman who said, "So I'm in my first day of homeschooling my kids. And after the first 30 minutes, I've come to the conclusion that teachers need to be paid $1 million a year." And for those of us who do have young kids at home, and I don't know if you watching can relate, but for those of us who do have young kids at home, you know exactly what this gentleman is going through, right? You know exactly what he's talking about. And last night I was watching a video from a friend of mine, Megan and Michael Hyatt. And Michael is a former business partner of mine, dear friend, and his eldest daughter, Megan, also great friend. And Megan was talking about the exact same thing. She said, look, I don't know what to do. She's like trying to balance the kids at home while working, while doing all the other things in life that we are typically juggling. She's like, it's craziness. And she said right there and then, she said, all I want is just for somebody, a teacher who has just tell me what to do. Like, I don't want to, there's 1,000,001 free resources online right now. 1,000,001 free resources. She's like, but I don't have the time to go through them all to figure out what it is I need to provide my kids. I just want somebody to tell me what to do. And this is my point. It's the same with a membership site. People don't want a whole lot of information. They just want to know how to go from where they are to where they want to be fastest and easiest way possible. So, what do you need to think about as it relates to crafting content inside of a membership and making this transition? Well, when you're working one-on-one with clients, chances are you've begun to develop some processes in how to walk your clients through whatever it is that you are helping clients do. And what I want you to do is I want you to consciously start documenting those processes. I want you to consciously start thinking through what you probably do on a subconscious level to help your clients make that progress. And I want you to think about, like, what steps are you taking them through? Because one of the things that we developed as I started working with, as I said, tens of thousands of membership site owners in all kinds of different markets, was developing this core structure called a success path. Now, I'm not going to get into the success path. Again, that's another lesson for another day. But the bottom line consensus of it is that we are documenting the journey of taking somebody from where they are to where they want to be. And inevitably, it's going to take them through different stages of progress. And so what I want you to do is I want you to start consciously taking note of, what do I do? What questions do I ask my clients? What things do I have them do in order to go from where they are to where they want to be? And there are two types of content inside of a membership site. This is what I want you to write down now. Two types of content. Content number one is what we would call the core content. This is what, when somebody logs into a membership site, this is like the foundational content that you're going to provide that's going to essentially cast the vision for the progress that they are going to make in your membership. This is essentially the lessons in this core content are an overview of that success path, an overview of how to go from where they are to where they want to be. That's your core content. And then you have your monthly content. And this is what you deliver on a monthly basis. And again, I want to warn you, the natural tendency is to provide a whole bunch of stuff, but that's not what people want. They just want the next step. They just want the next step to move them little by little, baby step by baby step, toward the result that they're after. Now, here's the ironic thing. We often think as business owners, as content creators, that the only wins that matter are the really big wins. Like, we've got them in our company. We've got the really big wins with the people that are launching membership sites and welcoming thousands of new members. Like, those are the big wins, right? But here's what I want you to know. This is the reason why people will stay in a membership. They'll stay as long as they're making progress. And it could be huge wins, but it can also be the little wins. Like, for example, we've done this a few times where I have been in a live audience. We've done a meetup with many of our tribers. And I've asked, like, okay, who's stuck? Like, who's stuck? And there's been two different women who have done this. The most recent one, her name was River. And she raised her hand. I said, yes. And she explained to me, like, who she was looking to serve and how she was looking to help. And I was like, awesome. I said, so what do you think your first next step is in order to begin doing that? And she said, well, I probably need to build my audience. And I said, okay, great. I said, so what do you think is your next step toward building your audience? She's like, I don't know. And I said, well, if you did know, like, what do you think it would be? And she said, well, I think it would probably be like maybe doing Facebook Lives to begin building my audience. I said, okay, great. Awesome. Yes. I said, so what do you think would be the next first step in terms of doing your first Facebook Live? And she said, probably following your, outline for teaching people something. And I said, okay, great. And just so you know it, like, I have a whole podcast episode that outlines this. Make sure you go and subscribe to the Marketing Your Business podcast. I'm not sure what episode it is, but it's my 5-part framework for teaching anybody anything. And here it is in a nutshell. Go listen to the episode for more detail, but it's hook, story, lessons, call to action, summary. Hook, story, lessons, call to action, summary. 5-part framework. Go listen to the episode for all the details. So anyway, I said, River, you're absolutely right. I said, so let's just talk about that. And so I had like a flip chart there, and I started mapping it out. And we started walking through, like, okay, what's a problem that her market typically faces? And we started writing that down as part of the hook. And then I said, now, have you got a story of how you've helped someone? She said, yeah. So she started telling me about the story. So we made some bullets about that. I said, okay, what would be like some actionable next steps that somebody would take on it? So she listed those things through. And then we had a call to action, which was just like essentially like click like or subscribe or, send this to somebody. And then the summary is you basically recap it. So we mapped that all out. And I said, okay, River, I said, give me your phone. And she said, what do you mean? I said, give me your phone. She said, why? And I said, because we're going to do it live right now. She's like, no, I can't do this. I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And so I like typed in the title for the Facebook Live, which was the hook that we just mapped out. And I said, worst case scenario, I said, you're literally just going to read what we wrote on this whiteboard. So she went live, and admittedly, she was nervous. This was the first time she was doing it. She was nervous. But we were there to cheer her on and support her. And so to her credit, she did it. She did it. And it created a ton of momentum for her. That is just as big of a win as somebody launching a membership site welcoming thousands of members. Why? This is the big lesson I want you to take home from this as a teacher, as an instructor, as somebody who is helping people make progress. The reason that that was such a big win was because it created momentum. Momentum. And I have never, in all my years in helping people and business owners in all kinds of different markets with membership sites, I have never, ever heard of somebody canceling from a membership site because they're making too much progress. I've never heard of that. Never. So if that's the case, the only thing that you and I should be focused on is helping people make progress in some direction. And it doesn't matter if it's big or little or somewhere in between. As long as they are making forward progress, people will continue to pay to be part of a membership. So the way in which you make the transition from working one-on-one to working one-to-many at scale within a membership site is I want you to stop and I want you to take inventory of how you are working with your clients. And I want you to document the processes that you walk them through, the things that you do to serve those clients, because chances are a lot of it is happening on a subconscious level. And the reason you've got to extract that out and break it down is because that begins to form the structure of your entire membership content. And again, this is not about loading them up with a whole bunch of stuff all at once. It's about creating the structure and keeping them focused on the next right step. Now, people often ask me, oh, Stu, but okay, well, what happens though if somebody gets to the end of the success path? And I often smile when I get this question because one, you're worrying about a thing that isn't a thing yet. That's number one, right? Like you're worried about problems that aren't even a problem yet. But here's the ironic thing is that when you do this right, it never becomes a problem. Why? Well, let's just think about martial arts as an example. When somebody accomplishes and achieves their black belt, does that mean they stop focusing on the fundamentals? Does that mean they stop practicing how to punch and kick with the fundamentals? No, it doesn't. Like, for example, I played soccer at a really high level. I played at university. We won 2 national championships. Many of the guys that I played with went on to play for our national team, went on to play pro. Like I played at a really high level. My skills were really good. But my skills today are nowhere near what they used to be back then. Why? Because I haven't kept them sharp. Back then, I was practicing every day or I was playing every day. Now I play once a week. So my skills have deteriorated because I haven't kept them sharp. And I share this with you because the reason people will stay even when they accomplish, quote, the end of the success path is because they want to maintain their skills. Think about it with a guitar. Same thing. You could learn all these great chords, but does that mean that you stop practicing the fundamentals? No. And so that's why people will continue to stay and stay and stay. So at the end of the day, when it comes to making the transition from working one-on-one to one-to-many in a membership, first step is I want you to document how you help your clients. I want you to document the processes that you walk your clients through. I want you to document the questions that you ask your clients. I want you to document and process what are you looking for them to do and in what order are you looking for them to do it. Because when people join a membership, what they're really focused on is making progress. They crave clarity around what is their next step. And the goal for you and I is to just continue to feed them clarity around what their next step is because they don't want to have to think. They don't want to have to sift and sort through the million pieces of free information and or paid information to figure out what they need to do next. That's what they're paying you for, that clarity, so they can get speed and make progress faster than ever before. My friends, you got this. Go make the transition from working one-on-one to one-to-many. Go watch Clint Salter's story. Go watch Anna Runyon's story. And remember, when you do this, you can serve more people and have more impact and create more stability and freedom for yourself in your business at the same time. You're awesome, my friends. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.